7 p.m. on the evening of Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. The Ron and Fez Show, originating out of New York City, is about to go live immediately following Opie and Anthony. Both Ron and Fez have made it to the Manhattan studio from which they normally do the show. However, for their staff, it was a different story. We now take you to the start of that broadcast.
Ron and Fez here with you on a very sad day in New York.
Ron Bennington, Fez Whatley. We're going to hang around with you for a couple hours. Obviously, you know the story. If there's places for news, there's other places that go much better than us. I recommend 1010 Wins. If you're near TV, turn on CNN. But if you just want to talk, Fez mentioned the saddest day maybe in the history of New York, Fezzy. Our city, the city we love, attacked.
Absolutely under attack. Of course, the World Trade Center is gone. Nothing new to you. Nothing, that you haven't heard already today.
What a day it was.
But, everyone who's finally made their way home, here's a place where you could talk about it.
A lot of different numbers coming in, too, of places that if you've had any kind of experience with medical situations or looking for people to help here, blood donors are needed. We'll give some of those numbers out later on. And also tonight, the president due to speak, and I believe also the Pentagon will have a press conference. So we'll cut away from both of those stories. Tough day all the way around, Fez.
Just awful to wake up in the morning and see what was going on. I actually got up in the morning, went on the computer, looked at the news. There was nothing about it online at the very beginning. Then logged off the computer. Mother called and let me know that a plane had gone into the World Trade Center.
At that time, no idea, of course.
Right.
What was really happening, thinking maybe it was an accident. But, World Trade Center, you had that weird kind of terrorist vibe about it anyway. But you're willing to say, what a horrible thing. Especially, remember not too long ago, the silliness down at the Statue of Liberty. So you never know whether it's somebody playing grab ass or got too close.
Is it another paraglider? Just yesterday, there was a banner plane circling the UN.
Yeah.
And then, of course, today being primary day for the mayor's race, I thought, oh, great, some ass face with a, vote for whoever banner ran into the World Trade Center.
So, that's your initial situation. Fez, actually.
Then it's just a little Cessna, a little crop duster that went into the thing.
Fez, actually, at that time, called my house and woke me up.
Screaming again.
Right.
How many calls like that have you gotten over the years?
And as I'm sitting there watching this on TV, and the next building explodes, and you see I turn around to my wife and I go, we're under attack.
Yeah.
It was like the thing Pearl Harbor. For me, myself, my first thing from there is I've got to get my kids.
Right.
And I'm sure a lot of people who have children in Manhattan, probably in any borough, and even Jersey and all, because here's what you can almost, the television doesn't pick is the, people watching this from around the country. We didn't know whether it was going on, when it was going to end.
Yeah.
And an hour later, you're still hearing news stories of explosions, whether it's the Pentagon or that other plane in Pennsylvania. What a surreal day in New York City.
I walked down the street from where I live to get a better view of the World Trade Center because you can see it from my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then I would walk back to my apartment and you turn the TV back on and something else had been attacked.
Yeah.
You learn the Pentagon had been attacked.
Well, we will keep an eye on any news stories that will break, and we'll cut away for them, whether it's to 1010 Wins or whether it's to the president or if the Pentagon makes that. But we thought we'd just spend the rest of the night talking with you folks, talking with people about what they went through today, Fez. Here, Fez, he is the rooster. He calls our show a lot.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, man.
I was standing right on Church Street, right in front of the building today when the second plane hit, and I've been in the military a while, and I'll tell you, that's the most horrific thing I've ever seen. And I'm up in Connecticut now, and the units up here are on high alert, and we already got helicopters and soldiers, and we're probably all going to get deployed down to New York City. And I just ask that you guys help us out, please, if you see us there and you have a chance to give blood and you have a chance to lend a hand, do that.
What's the talk about with most of the guys in the military? Who do they think is behind it? What's the feeling of what's next, Rooster?
Well, I'm really not sure what's next. I don't know if you guys saw this. There's all kinds of explosions in Kabul, Afghanistan right now where the Taliban is.
Right, but the word we hear is that's not us.
Yeah, a group called the Northern Alliance Rebels was taking credit for the Kabul bombings.
I tell you what, those things look a hell of a lot like cruise missiles
Is that
are
right?
hidden in there. But
well, as far as I know, no official word out of our government what we're doing. And a lot of times if we do something like this, we'll hit first before we say anything, Fez.
Right, yeah, and maybe President Bush will have more details on that.
Well, God bless America and support anyone that's out there, and thank you for all your help.
And Rooster, keep in touch with us, all right, buddy?
I will.
All right, Sip.
Thanks, guys.
Coming up in just a minute or two, the President of the United States.
Yeah, looking up at the monitor, I haven't seen anyone cut away to that podium or anything, or to the Oval Office.
But that's supposed to go down at 8:30 exactly, Fez?
Right, that's the word we've been given. We'll keep a check on that, and Hawk and Billy Staples and Earl, if you'll please keep checking on that too. We appreciate it. So, Billy, if you could check with Black Earl and just make sure that I'm supposed to go to Wins for the president's speech. I'm sure Wins has it.
Right.
But just, make sure I'm pushing the right button in here.
Yeah. Don't let...
You're a big Earl. That man always screams before the door is completely shut. I go to Wins for President Bush's speech?
Go to either one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm sure there won't be a place in America, Fezzy.
Yeah.
I'm sure
that doesn't have it.
I'm sure Nick at Night will cut away for the presidential speech tonight.
I don't know. It's Three's Company on Realathon.
The funny thing is, Billy came in and handed me two different papers with exact opposite information on them.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Here's something that's unconfirmed, and this further unconfirms it.
And here's something on the other side. Please announce them both.
That way we've got everything covered.
Billy came in from Long Island today, one of the few people who could make it into the city from Long Island. We can't tell you how he got here.
That's a story in itself.
Yeah, that is a story in itself.
But I'll tell you what, he got the attention of the GM and the program director.
Oh,
here. Yeah. Billy actually looked like he had something on the ball today just for making it.
All right, we are about to cut away to the President of the United States. We'll be back after that to take your phone calls.
Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices. Secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror. The pictures of airplanes flying into buildings, fires burning, huge structures collapsing, have filled us with disbelief, terrible sadness, and a quiet, unyielding anger. These acts of mass murder were intended to frighten our nation into chaos and retreat. But they have failed. Our country is strong. A great people has been moved to defend a great nation. Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shattered steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. America was targeted for attack because we're the brightest beacon for freedom and opportunity in the world, and no one will keep that light from shining. Today, our nation saw evil, the very worst of human nature, and we responded with the best of America. With the daring of our rescue workers, with the caring for strangers and neighbors who came to give blood and help in any way they could. Immediately following the first attack, I implemented our government's emergency response plans. Our military is powerful, and it's prepared. Our emergency teams are working in New York City and Washington, D.C. to help with local rescue efforts. Our first priority is to get help to those who have been injured, and to take every precaution to protect our citizens at home and around the world from further attacks. The functions of our government continue without interruption. Federal agencies in Washington, which had to be evacuated today, are reopening for essential personnel tonight and will be open for business tomorrow. Our financial institutions remain strong, and the American economy will be open for business as well. The search is underway for those who are behind these evil acts. I've directed the full resources of our intelligence and law enforcement communities to find those responsible and to bring them to justice. We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbor them. I appreciate so very much the members of Congress who have joined me in strongly condemning these attacks. And on behalf of the American people, I thank the many world leaders who have called to offer their condolences and assistance. America and our friends and allies join with all those who want peace and security in the world, and we stand together to win the war against terrorism. Tonight I ask for your prayers for all those who grieve, for the children whose worlds have been shattered, for all whose sense of safety and security has been threatened. And I pray they will be comforted by a power greater than any of us, spoken through the ages in Psalm 23. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. This is a day when all Americans from every walk of life unite in our resolve for justice and peace. America has stood down enemies before, and we will do so this time. None of us will ever forget this day, yet we go forward to defend freedom and all that is good and just in our world. Thank you. Good night, and God bless America.
All right, that's President Bush's speech.
And also, if you're looking for news, we recommend that you go to 1010 Wins. We're going to give you occasional updates, but then basically here on the Ron and Fez Show, just talk to people about what kind of day they had today.
Yeah, just a chance to talk it out of the terrible attack on New York City and, of course, Washington, D.C., and the whole country today.
All right, the president basically said, the same thing that he said earlier today, Fezzy.
Right.
We won't back down, and we'll find the guys who did this and don't harbor them.
Yeah, exactly. Do a threat to any country that's going to be friendly to the terrorists. And his just general message of, yeah, you know what? The country's still working.
Yeah.
Don't worry. The banks are sound, and the financial institution, the economy will continue.
I know.
And we will get to business as usual.
I noticed that today you didn't have a lot of people bum rushing the ATM machines. I heard some stuff on the O&A show about people around the country jacking up gas prices, Fez. That's pretty shameful if that happened.
Yeah, really.
But I didn't see that myself.
No,
Let me check with the Hawk. There's our man, the Hawk, who works with us here every night, Fezzy. And we never really give him much props.
No,
The Hawk calls. I'd gotten over here today because I must have been here by 1.
Right.
Here at the radio station. The Hawk calls about 3 o'clock or so and says, I'm going to try to make it in. Where's he at? Come on in, Hawk.
Someone bring in the Hawk.
Maybe he went home early because he did get in here a little bit early. But I want him to, I haven't had a big chance to go over this story with him. Hey, Billy, is the Hawk out there? Could you write something to me?
And if he is out there, could you tell him to come in the studio, please?
All right, now I'm going to have to ask if Billy's out there.
Now we're not getting any word from Billy.
Yeah.
And I see Earl just flailing wildly.
All right, Earl, why are you flailing wildly?
What's funny is we're here to help you guys.
Yeah.
No matter what you need, just let us know.
All right, let me, I'll just go back to the phones, Fezzy. I wanted to hear his story, but that's okay. Hey, Hawk has come in here.
Oh, we found the Hawk.
Hawk, tell your story. You came over from Queens today and how you got here. Hawk is one of our producers on the show.
And my personal lackey.
Well, when I was, I called up the station and they said they were a little shorthanded. And I was like, can I come in? Can I help? And they said, yep. And at that time, none of the trains, none of the subways were working, and there was no buses. All the bridges and tunnels were shut down. So I just walked over to the Queensboro Bridge, 59th Street Bridge, walked over it, and walked across town to work.
Now, what was that like coming across the Queensboro Bridge? Was the bridge shut down on both sides? Nobody was driving?
No, there were 2 lanes open to driving coming out of Manhattan into Queens. But all the other lanes, there were about 3, 4, 5 other lanes. They were just people walking out of Manhattan.
Was traffic open on both levels?
I don't know. I was on the top level, and I'm not sure about the bottom. But
okay,
it was just people, just everyone sad and just walking past me, going to Queens, and everyone was talking. A few people were on cell phones.
Did anyone try to stop you from going the wrong way? Like you're going into Manhattan.
Right.
No. Did anyone try to say, hey, buddy, wrong way?
No, there was a handful of people actually going in my direction, too. There was a few people going into Manhattan, so no one was really... Everyone just seemed kind of dazed. They were just mainly just coming out of the city just for a look of...
I know, that was an amazing sight of just this never-ending trail of people walking very slowly. I saw a couple people running to get across the bridge. But just a slow walk of people leaving a city that had been attacked.
Yeah. Once I even got into the city, the streets were just empty, too. No one was even... There were more people on the bridges, and the city was completely abandoned, it seemed.
How long do you think it took you to walk across that bridge?
About 20 minutes or so, more or less.
You know the other strange thing about today? Could we have had a more beautiful day in New York? It was the most gorgeous day of the year.
That sky was so blue.
It was hard to believe that all this tragedy was going on when it was just the most perfect day.
Yeah, there weren't any clouds or anything except for the smoke coming from the buildings.
Right, it was such a clear day that you could see the devastation from pretty much anywhere where you were at.
We got to work something out with Billy and Hawk.
They couldn't find each other earlier.
Yeah, I know. Where were they?
Never mind the fact of finding any sort of credible information.
Then I went outside. Remember when I went outside when the Hawk was talking?
Uh-huh.
And Billy was in the corner smoking.
Really? You know,
I just crack up.
We got to have the Great American Smoke out around here because people are just abandoning their posts left and right to have a ciggy butt.
It's a rough night, perhaps the saddest night in the history of New York. Here's Earl, who made it in tonight. What time did you get in, Earl?
I got here about 6.
How were you able to get back through?
No, service was perfectly restored by the time. I just, like a lot of people, watch TV and just my mouth hanging open.
All day long?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Actually, I like got on my bed, I closed my eyes, I'm like, okay, I'm going to wake up. This is a bad dream. It'll be a really bad dream. And I woke up, put the TV back on. It was still going. I was like, this isn't a dream. I still can't believe it.
It is shocking, and it does feel like it felt like a huge part of me today. I felt like I was just in a dream state when I was running to those schools looking for my kids. Did not even feel like myself. I think that's where this feels like a movie. Most of the day I was feeling that way.
And everything seemed to be moving in slow motion.
Yeah, I walked over to the train station. It's about a 15-minute walk, and I made it a point to look at everyone, and everyone just has this glassy...
So many people...
This blank stares and...
With their hands just over their mouth.
Not even hands. I mean, just like they were doing their everyday business, but they weren't there. It was just very surreal. Then I got on the train, and everyone's just sitting there and just like this like weird coma-like state, just like staring into space.
And everyone that you pass, it was obviously the one thing on their mind.
And the odd thing is, you look like that too. You know what I mean? You look like,
and I caught myself doing it. I was just kind of like,
they're sitting there thinking, "Look at that guy. He is zoning."
I was just like in this weird zone.
Yeah.
I got off the phone with my brother about 10 minutes ago.
Now he's in the service, right? Or
He hasn't been in the service for 10 years. They found him.
Wow.
And called him.
Was he AWOL?
No, they called his job and they said, "Oh no, are you who you are?" And he goes, "Yes." And he goes, "You're on call." He goes, "Did you serve in the Gulf War?" He goes, "Yes, I did." He goes, "You're on call." I said, "Are you prepared to serve?" And he went, "I haven't served in 10 years." He goes, "We don't care."
And they're like,
"You're on call."
You don't understand. I have a gut now, and my hamstrings are really, really tight.
I got bad feet.
Yeah, they asked him if he was fit. He said, "Are you still fit to serve?" And he went, "Are you kidding me?" And they said, "No, we're not. We're finding every able body that has any military experience. It's like, you're on call in the event we declare war."
Send in a pair of his jeans with his waist size on it.
Please.
Don't know how fit he is to serve.
Use that as a tent for some of the kids over there. Billy, you got an update for us?
Yes, I do. The police commissioner of New York just announced that all of Manhattan will be closed south of 14th Street from the Hudson to the East River to all non-essential traffic. So only emergency vehicles only. Any civilian vehicles will be stopped and you'll be arrested.
Is that for tomorrow as well as tonight?
As of right now.
Okay.
All right, that's 14th Street south.
Anything south of 14th Street from the Hudson to the East River.
Okay.
So, in other words, any civilian vehicle, you'll be arrested and impounded. And they also have said that CBS is reporting that there was a van stopped on the George Washington Bridge with enough explosives in it to take the whole bridge down. The police commissioner for New York did confirm that there was a stoppage. He doesn't have any other information on it, but CBS is reporting that the Port Authority police did pull over a van on the bridge loaded with explosives.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Billy. Newsman Billy Staples, Fezzy.
That's our cub reporter.
Billy came into... Billy, come back in here for a second.
Our pub reporter.
And Billy came in from Long Island today. Tell everybody how you got to the station.
Oh, I took the train.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Well, how'd you do that?
Well, the trains were only... I live out on the islands. The trains were only stopping at Jamaica, and all non-emergency personnel had to get off at Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not considered emergency personnel, so I hid in the bathroom till we got to Penn Station.
Wow. So the train just completely emptied out, and you went in the bathroom?
Yeah, the only people who were on the train were Long Island Railroad employees and a couple other guys in nondescript clothing. You know, so I just went into the little tiny bathrooms they have on the train. I shut the door. No one's going to look in there.
Right.
It's only about a 10-minute ride from Jamaica to Penn Station. No one checked.
True.
And then when they got into Penn, all the doors opened up, and I just walked right out.
Did you use that time to go to the bathroom and all? Or
Heck
you just
no.
stood there
Oh, no,
quietly?
no. I've seen the people who go in those bathrooms. I'm not
that's true.
So you can hold your breath for 10 minutes.
I think I set some kind of record in there, to be honest with you.
All right, thank you. Billy Staples with us tonight as well as the Hawk.
Way to go to get in here. I know you impressed the GM and the PD.
The Hawk walked over the Queensboro Bridge. Here's a friend of ours, Fezzy. It's Johnny from Hard Rock Cafe. It's Hard Rock Johnny. How you doing there, Johnny? Welcome to Run of Fez.
Hey, John.
All right. Hey, boys. How are you?
Hanging in there, pal.
That's all we can do. It's I was there this morning for work, and we close. We don't really, that's not even what it's about. It's just watching people walk around that city at 11 and 11:30 this morning. It was just zombies, and it was just so surreal. It was just like a scene from a bad movie.
It really was, and I was out on the streets at that time, and very, very bizarre looks on everybody's faces.
No one knew what to do, and it's like you said, you'd never know. It's going to be impossible for someone who lives up here not to know somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching TV, and it showed a guy. I know a person who was in one of the airplanes that crashed. I mean, and it's just bizarre that they announced his name because he was a hockey guy from years back that I knew, and I knew him, and it's just that's the beginning of it. There's going to be so many more people that people know if you work in the city or live around here.
Right.
It's like a bad dream. You open tomorrow when you wake up, it's all gone, and unfortunately, it's not going to be.
No, it's going to go on. It's going to go on, my friend.
When I was walking around in my neighborhood, the people that were out on the street, like you said, Johnny, just wandering, they looked like they were just looking to latch on to anybody else that happened to be out there. Everyone that was out there walking along was looking for someone else to cling to. And people's eyes were meeting and conversations were starting.
And that's not usually what happens in the city, unfortunately. People are just in a rush and they're in a hurry.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk to anybody. But people just needed other people. They needed people to talk to and know that, hey, you're not alone. And it's a really, really tough thing that we're all going to have to, and it's going to take weeks and months. And I mean, today, really, I think, and I mean, I'm not the only one who said this. I'm not so ponded, but today from this day forward, our world has changed. The way that we live, the way that everything goes every day has changed from this day forward. And it's a shame. And there's just going to have to, there's just no end to it, it seems.
Thank you so much, Johnny.
Thanks, guys.
All right, buddy.
We'll talk to you
Keep up
later,
the good
pal.
work.
Thanks, Johnny. Yeah, Johnny mentioned the people from the L.A. Kings hockey team. What that was is two scouts, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Two hockey scouts.
But they were old pros, right?
Yeah, Garnet Ace Bailey, who actually played with Wayne Gretzky at one point, and Mark Bavis.
Also, I had heard, I think the Boston to L.A. flight had one of the co-producers of the Frasier show. I'd heard that earlier today and then didn't hear it again. Somebody that was coming in from either Cape Cod or Martha's Vineyard, taking that trip from Boston to L.A. So, like we said, you're going to... I don't know whether we've ever had a situation where we lost that many people in 4 different plane accidents in the same day. That would have been astronomical. Somebody attacking... the Pentagon like that.
Sure.
Would have been astronomical. All those stories kind of footnotes with what happened here in New York City.
Yeah, you see on a normal news day, if there's a plane crash, that always takes you back a little bit. And you think, ugh, yikes, plane crash. And now, 4 of them in one day, plus everything else that goes involved with it. Knowing they're premeditated.
Remembering the tragic events of 9/11. You're listening to The Ron and Fez Show from Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. Coming up, a special 9/11 roundtable discussion with the 2001 staff of the Ron